Good day, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking Travel with me, Yomi, the Flying Gazelle. Super excited to bring you another episode. This is episode 5. It's been some time, but I always want to make sure I'm bringing you the kind of content that you're looking forward to seeing from me and something that adds value. And today I'm excited to talk to my next guest. We're going to be talking all things Asturias, Spain. He is an aficionado in the area. I'll give him some time to talk about himself very shortly. Spain is a place I've been to a number of times, and I'm sure lots of our listeners have been to. And if you've not, it's a beautiful country. And I thought this is an area that would be really cool to sort of highlight and bring some notoriety to. Not that it needs any help necessarily from me. Before we go on, I'd like to talk about myself. Again, Yomi. I am the founder of the Flying Gazelle. In case you don't know what the Flying Gazelle is, we are a travel and booking service for our customers. Basically, if you're looking to book flights, hotels, package tours, whatever it is to destinations across the world, we are at the ready to support you. So please make sure you get in touch with us. We like to bring the human element back to travel, and we have tons of experience in travel and have done it for many years. So we love to support our customers. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to my guest today. And basically, Alfredo Muniz, like I said, is from Asturias. And we'd like to talk to him about his experience growing up there and also just really all things Asturias. So, Alfredo, welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Yomi. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. And I realize that we've got a little bit of a time difference between myself here in New York and España. So hopefully we are not digging too much into your evening time, but I'm very excited to be talking to you today, again, like I said, at the top of the hour. So please tell us your story, right? Tell us where you live, tell us your profession, and what propelled you to where you are today.
Well, I live in front of a beautiful beach. It's, this is the capital of surf. And now I can see the beach. I was hesitating to go outside, but I'm afraid of the noise of the sea
Sure.
and the wind. So I'm indoors. And I've been working as a business consultant, um, but also as journalist. I was reading about economic, politics, business issues. And 15 years ago, I decided to write about mm, travel and gastronomy, and I edit a magazine that is called Viajar, Vivir y Saborear: Travel, Live, and Taste. And well, I think it's much better to talk about Asturias. That is our subject.
Yeah, but no, it's totally fine because I oftentimes think that at the intersection of travel is also cuisine and as well as the culture. So I absolutely adore the magazine and I adore the title. So
Yes,
Viajar.
yeah, just to underline one thing that
Yeah, please.
everybody can see in the web. I wrote one article about Asturias in English, but the rest of the articles you can translate it into English. There is an option to change from Spanish to English,
Yeah.
so you can read there more information, and even you can ask me whatever. You just have to make a comment, and I would answer with pleasure.
Absolutely. Yeah, with a lot of translation services these days, it's easier to translate things from the local language, and Google is able to do that for our viewers, so that's good. I should have mentioned that yes, most of your content is in Spanish, but there is that ability to translate it into English. And again, once again, I love the title, Viajar, Vivir y Saborear. And like I said, I always think that at the intersection of travel is cuisine, and there's so much in that area that I know that you're going to talk about. So let's get into it. So,
Yes, I'm trying to travel with the five senses. So when I organize a travel, I want to enjoy with my view, with my sense, with all everything, the colors, the tastes. So that's what I'm trying to write in the magazine and also in my novel, El Testamento del Gallo, that
you're
you can
there as a
find
man.
in Amazon.
Okay,
Actually, it was born in the United States
got it.
because Amazon, the first place where they publish the novels is in United States.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's great. So, yeah, so let's get into it without further ado. So, what's so special about Asturias?
Well, for me, Asturias is a natural paradise. Um, but there are so many things to do in Asturias that I think that there are options to for everybody, for all the tastes. Because, for instance, now in summer you can go um, climbing or hiking to the mountains, and in the same day you can go to the beach, to beautiful beaches, and later you can go to have one of the better meals in the world because the Asturian food is really, really good. You know, one of our chefs, by the way, Jose Andres, he's an Asturian chef, and you know that he's very, very popular in the States. And now he's producing in Asturias an special cheese with the name of her mother that export to the States, Mama Luisa.
Mama Luisa, that's the name of the cheese.
Yes, it's a blue cheese.
Oh, it's a
It's a
blue.
very big cheese, and I think he sell above all to restaurants for cooking.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, and thanks for sharing. So, blue cheese is something that I wouldn't have naturally associated with Spain. I know they've got a lot of blue cheese in France, but interestingly enough, this sounds like something that might be, I guess, local to that area. And for
Well, in Asturias we have four PDO cheeses. Cabrales, that is the most popular, that
Cabrera,
is a blue cheese quite strong.
okay,
Actually, Jose Andres has recipes with Cabrales also. Gamoneu, that is delicious as well. Afuera al Pitu,
afuera del pito.
and yes, and what's the name of the other? Um, I'm going to tell you right now. I have here.
No worries while you're looking that up. And
Well, another one, the other one is uh,
so while you're looking,
Casin is the other. And we have also a very famous cheese in the States that is Rey Silos that Jose Andres got to introduce in the White House.
okay, okay, that's really great. That's awesome. Yeah, I think
Mm.
a lot of our viewers will likely be familiar with Jose Andreas since he's one of the more popular chefs here stateside. One of the imports from Spain, one of the great imports from Spain, who's done lots of great things and has lots of great restaurants, and does a lot of humanitarian work. So we
Yeah.
of Jose Andres here. So put it in context for our viewers as well and our listeners. Asturias is in the northwest of Spain, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Just for
Well,
folks to understand.
it's in the north of Spain, little bit west, but it's very near Galicia.
Everything. Okay.
Everybody know El Camino de Santiago, the
Yeah.
way of St. James.
Yeah.
The primitive way of St. James beginning in Oviedo, that is the capital of Asturias.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. That's fantastic. Um, and for folks who aren't familiar with what Alfredo's mentioned, El Camino San Diego is those are for historic routes for pilgrims
Yeah.
who've gone on that journey in the past, right? So, and that starts in the capital of Asturias, Oviedo, that he just
Yes, there was a king, an Asturian king, Elizabeth, what's his name? Uh, what's his name?
no worries. I'm sure if you don't find it, we can certainly include it.
Yeah, I have here the magazine where I wrote it, but I don't remember.
No problem. We can always
Ah,
follow up. We
yeah,
can,
Alfonso II. Alfonso II was a king, very religious, and he heard that somebody has found the body of the apostle in Santiago, and he organized the first. He was the first pilgrim, you know, and he gave money to build the the first chapel for the apostle.
awesome.
And,
Awesome.
one thing I would like to know about Asturias is that is the beginning of the reconquest of Spain. The first Asturian king was Pelayo, and he won the a battle in Covadonga, that is an historical place for Christianity, because there he got to to stop the Muslims that they were conquering Spain. So if Pelayo wouldn't win the battle now, we would be drinking tea, mint tea, and eating couscous, and no pork and no alcohol.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
we will never know. Well,
So
let's
he changed the history of Spain.
right, right. Yeah, it's an important area. So let's veer to talking about travel. It sounds like a really historic place filled with a lot of culture and the very vibrant cuisine as well.
Mhm.
And now our viewers might be thinking, well, they'd love to visit. So, what are some of the best times to visit Asturias, or is it a great time? Is it a place to visit? A great place to visit year round?
Well, I would recommend to visit Asturias at the springtime, at summertime, and in autumn. For me, the last years, the autumn is wonderful because the weather is good. Is still sunny, not as sunny as summer, but very good. And you can see the colors of the forest. We have wonderful forests with those colors of autumn. That is really, really nice. And the spring is also very nice. But somebody that come to Asturias, I would recommend to bring well, clothes for summertime, but maybe a raincoat just in case, because it can.
Shower.
Yeah, it's very famous. El orvallo is when it's drizzling.
Okay. Okay,
So
gotcha.
if you go to the beach, maybe it's sunny, but if you go to the mountains,
Correct.
it's cooler and it can be maybe it's drizzling.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, it sounds like it almost has like somewhat microclimates at different parts of
Yes,
the area. So,
and very variable. Maybe in the morning it's a little bit cold,
sure.
later it's sunny, and in the afternoon it's raining a little bit, and then it's very it's a crazy weather.
Right, right. Well, but I mean, that also kind of keeps it interesting too. I think as long as travelers and visitors are mindful of the fact that things can change from time to time depending on the season that you visit and
Yes.
where you go to, then I think it still makes for a pretty pleasant experience. And I like what you mentioned about
Everybody know Asturias as the green coast
as
because
okay.
it's very green.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, it's that's good to know, and I also liked what you mentioned about autumn, so we say fall here, but in terms of also just knowing that that could still be a good time for people to travel, that might offer some alternatives for some folks who might not be able to travel, maybe in peak summer season, that that still could be a good time for people to travel and experience the Green Coast. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I'd love to shift now to kind of expand upon what we started to talk about earlier about cuisine, because I know it's a very rich area in terms of the cuisine. So at the intersection of travel, oftentimes it is the cuisine, right? The food and the beverage. Are there any specialities? I know you talked about cheese, but are there any other specialities from Asturias that you'd like to enlighten us about?
Yes. Well, we have the traditional dishes. The most popular is the fabada, that are beans
Okay.
with pork sausage,
Okay.
black black pudding,
Well, okay, gotcha, gotcha.
and pork and ham,
Okay,
and it's delicious.
and
But there is an
it's called fababa?
fabada. They are
Fab
beans, but it's beans bigger than the beans you know with tomato
yes. I
for
love
your breakfast.
faba. I love faba, yeah, I just wanted to, clarify so our viewers understand, but it's got
Yes,
black pudding you said, right? So it's got pork sausage.
yes,
Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
yes.
And
And
is that eaten all year long, or is that eaten just in the winter, or is
well,
that
that's a dish typical for the winter because
it's
with
heavy?
the
Yeah, I figured as much,
if
yeah,
you go to the beach, I wouldn't recommend you fabada.
yeah.
And there is another another dish that I love it. That is the Asturian stew.
Okay,
That it has also beans, but it has a kind of cabbage
okay, okay.
and pork.
Okay, okay, okay. Gotcha, gotcha.
And we have eh, mm, is very popular the cachopo. The cachopo is huge. It's two big uh, veal fillets, and it includes uh, ham and cheese in the middle, and then they breed it in eggs and breadcrumbs,
Wow. Wow.
and as a side, there are French potatoes, maybe mushrooms, or some peppers. Yeah,
Interesting.
and we have uh, very yummy fishes and seafood.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have
Pardon me, what kind of seafood, like, what kind of seafood dishes are
well, we have the centollo that I would translate it as a spider crab.
okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
We have lobsters and some from the family of the lobster is el yocántaro bugre,
Okay,
bogavante in Spanish.
yeah.
And we have clams,
Right.
But in Asturian language, we say amasueles o
Amaswele.
amas.
Okay.
Sí, in Spanish, almejas.
Has. Speaking of, I love that you actually said that and brought that up. And again, just for our edification. So, are there clear distinctions? I'd imagine that there is, but that there are. But are there clear distinctions between the Asturian language and Spanish? Like, is it very, very different, or is it more
Well,
closely aligned?
in Asturias, the official language, of course, is the Spanish. But for gastronomy, we use a lot of the Asturian language. So, for instance, the there is a kind of crabs that in Spanish we call it nécoras, but in Asturian language are andaricas. That is a word completely different, you know.
Of course.
So for food, for the fishes, is the same. We have a fish that is called in Asturian language fishing. In Spanish language, rape.
Okay.
It's
Interesting.
completely different.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, I find that to be interesting because sometimes in regional areas, you tend to find more regional dialect or a completely different language sometimes than what is the dominant language of the
Well,
country.
the Asturian language, we have our own accent, Asturian accent, and on TV they speak a little bit Asturian, but I think the real language is only spoken in some rural areas.
Yeah, of
Not
course.
really. It's
Correct.
not really. Although now yeah, at university they are trying to encourage to
Sure.
develop the language, but it's not as the Catalan that
Of course.
everybody
Yeah. Yeah.
speak Catalan, you know.
Sure. Sure.
But
Or Basque. Yeah. Yeah.
Asturian words
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
restaurants, in the list of the restaurants. If you don't know the Asturian words, sometimes you don't know, you don't understand anything.
Absolutely. That makes complete sense. Awesome.
And there is something that I would like to underline, that is el pitu de calella. It's a kind of chicken, but it's not like the chicken from the farm. It's chicken that is it lives wild in the villages, and they can eat only natural
Sure.
food,
Feed. Yeah.
and then the meat is completely different to the is not as white as the chicken of the farm, and is more tasty.
More tasty. Of course, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I'd imagine it's out on the farm, free roaming, eating natural feed. So I'd imagine that the flavor is definitely much better and different than what you'd purchase at the store, for instance. So
And
pitu,
the veal and the milk from Asturias is very famous because there are a lot of green. And we have La Ternera Asturiana, the Asturian veal, that it has also PDO.
correct. That's awesome. Well, thank you for covering all that on the food.
And one thing about the drinks, our drinks, we have two typical drinks. The Asturian cider, that it was named intangible heritage of humanity last year.
Oh, congrats. That's
Yes,
awesome.
and there is one, the vino of Cangas, the wine of Cangas, that has DPO also.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So cider, and it sounds like a special kind of wine that are
The cider is an special. I don't want to explain a lot of about cider because I think you have to live it in Asturias, because there is an special way to drink it, to pour, but you have to live it. I
okay.
don't going to make the spoiler.
Sure, no worries, no worries. And speaking of, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about actually traveling, right? We talked about times that might be more, I guess, preferable to visit? It sounds like really that, most times of the year there are things to do, which is great. But so you also do tours, right? Not necessarily just in Asturias, but then you also do tours in other places. Can you talk a little bit about that in terms of your tours?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to make you a news
Okay.
that
Okay.
you asked me yesterday, but in the evening I was invited to go with a group to Uzbekistan this month.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome. Wow. That's certainly a
So
place.
today, before the chat, I was just planning everything. I was very nervous.
Wow. Yeah, that's certainly a place I'd love to get to. That's awesome.
And I love skiing. In Asturias, we have two ski resorts, but they are small places. But I'm preparing a ski group to go to Italy and Switzerland in February.
Okay.
We have a hotel that is from a fairy tale because it's in the middle of the snow. There are no villages, just snow. You can go out the hotel and you start skiing. You
Yeah.
have to go to the hotel in a cable car.
Wow. Wow. That's
So at night you cannot go to the village. At least they
that
open the
sounds
cable car.
That sounds very remote, and I know a lot of people like that. So, hey, if that's your thing, please definitely take Alfredo up on it. So, just so we know again, you do tours in Asturias, and then, of course, you have the ability and have done tours in other places. So, I'll include your details, it's particularly for people who are looking to explore more in Asturias and might want to take you up on a tour or just learn more about what it is you do and maybe get your book and your magazine. So
As you
oh,
said, if people like hiking,
mhm,
yeah, you can hike through the coast. There are, for instance, one place I love it is a path along the coast from Po to Llanes. Is unbelievable. You can see cliffs and it's gorgeous.
it,
Um, if you go to the mountains, there are a national park, Los Picos de Europa, and there are four natural parks, all with wild animals, but it's safe because there are bears, there are wild pigs, there are deers, but there are no accidents, no danger.
got it. That's good.
And and you can see waterfalls, lakes. So as I saw, you have all kind of landscapes in Asturias because you can go to the sea or you can go to the mountains or to the big cities. So Oviedo, for instance, is a city with that is a museum outdoors with all the sculptures. There is an American director, Woody Allen, is in one sculpture in the street in Oviedo because he won the Princess of Asturias prize,
Um,
and 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 we have museums very relevant with masterpieces of the most important painters. And in Avilés we have the Niemeyer that he was an architect, an Brazilian architect that was involved in the construction of the building of the United Nations in New York.
okay.
He won also the prize of Princess of Asturias.
Okay, cool. Well, that's super awesome. It sounds like there's definitely something for
And
everyone.
we have also prehistoric caves. There are so many things that museum of dinosaurs. Uh, there are for all the tastes.
Absolutely. So there's something for everybody, which is great. I often like to spotlight areas like this where everybody can certainly have something, several things that really appeal to them, right? So that it's a multi-functional destination that folks can really enjoy. And from what I've learned about Asturias, from what you've talked about Asturias, and for even all that you've imparted on us today, it sounds like a remarkable place to visit. I have never been there. Someday I hope to
You are
visit.
invited.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. So,
And
okay.
at summer, you have a lot of traditional parties. Like, for instance, in there is an international longboard festival here in Salinas.
Yeah,
But there is canoeing competition in the River Sella
yeah.
that they are coming people from all over the world also, and then later there is a party with music and cider and so on.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're starting to run out of time, so I want to make sure I get to a couple of additional questions just so that we can get to know you a little bit better. Again, I will include all your details in the text once this video gets posted, but just to get know you a little bit better, I'm going to ask you a couple questions if you're up for it. Yeah?
Yeah, of course, because finishing. I would like also to underline, well, I have 5 profiles in Instagrams, but now I'm promoting the profile of El Testamento del Gallo. That is the name of my novel.
Yes.
So if you can follow me in Instagram, and there you can see reels with videos of all my journeys.
Awesome. El Testamo del Gallo. I'll include
El
that.
Testamento,
El Testamento del Gallo. I'll include that in.
Alfredo Muniz.
Yes, I will include all that stuff in the
Okay,
text.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
cool. All right, so let's get to know you a little bit better. What are some of the favorite things you like to do when you're on holiday?
Well, at summer, of course, go to the beach, know new friends, swimming, having a beer, just simple things from the summer. And at winter, I love skiing. That's my favorite sport. But I like also to go to the sea, to go to musicals, to we have to concerts, to the opera. There's a lot of things.
Awesome.
I never get bored.
I can tell. I can tell. That's great. That's a great spirit to have. Now, are there favorite places you like to go to on vacation? Favorite destinations or, anywhere in
Well,
particular?
I think the only place I repeat every year, well, there are 2 places that I try to repeat every year. One is Ibiza,
Okay.
the island,
Yeah.
and another is a more familiar place. Is a lake in the mountains. It's called the Lake of Sanabria, and we have there a small hut, and I love it. It's a natural park. Then the house is in the middle of an oak forest,
Wow.
and very near is the lake.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. Well done. That's awesome. And then, and you may have just talked about this actually earlier, what's next on your radar in terms of a travel destination?
Well, next week I'll go to Castellón, to a natural park, and from Castellón I'll travel to Madrid to Uzbekistan. Then I'll come back uh, at the end of June, and in July I go to Ibiza, and
Wow.
in August to Sanabria.
Wow. Sounds like a very, very intense but exciting travel schedule. Uzbekistan sounds like someplace remarkable to go to. It's certainly on my radar of places to check out. So I hope to get all of the fun details post your journey once you get back, but have a most wonderful time. We have a few minutes left to go. Any last words you'd like to share with our audience? Any last bits of wisdom you'd like to impart?
Well, there are a lot of things to tell about Asturias. We talk about For instance, one thing I haven't talked is that in Asturias we have rivers with salmons and trouts. The first salmon that is catch it every year. If the fisherman want, there is an auction,
Ah,
and last year or this year, mm, the fisherman sold a salmon of around 7 kilos for more than 10,000 euros.
whoa, holy cow. That's amazing.
Yes, usually a restaurant buy the salmon and organize a party. And
Yeah, that is super cool. 10K. Goodness. And so what time of year is usually the first salmon? Does the first salmon get caught? What time of year?
oh, that's a good question. I think at the spring, but I'm not sure if it was in probably, I don't know, if in April or May.
Got it.
Mhm.
Got it. That's
And one place that you have to go is Covadonga. In Covadonga is the the patron saint of Asturias, that is the Virgin of Covadonga, is
amazing.
in the holy cave. The Pope, several, at least one or two popes visit the place because it's very relevant for the Catholicism, and and there is like a waterfall from behind the cave, and there is a fountain with 7 taps, and the legends say that if a single lady drink from the 7 taps, will get married within a year.
Wow. That's
But
amazing.
now the boys do the same
Of
also.
course. Hey, listen,
If you want to get married,
it should go for equal sexes, right? So that's great. We're running out of time, so I just wanted to make sure that I say a very warm thank you to you for being on the pod today and talking to us and enlightening us about all things Asturias. We've learned so much, and I know that the audience will learn a lot as well. And hopefully take you up on perhaps a future tour or just contact you to learn some more. Like I said, I'll include your details in the text. But Alfredo, it's been amazing. Viajar, Vivir y Saborear is the name of the magazine. And then the book is El Testamento del Gallo, right? Perfection. Okay. Thank you so much. And yeah, great chatting with you this afternoon. Have a wonderful day.
thank you to you, Yomi. I'll see you in Asturias or in New York, who knows?
Exactly. One of those places. Cheers.
Okay, cheerio.